Okay, good afternoon. And see, we started with a very simple remedy in the last class. So, what was the remedy that was started? We started with antimonium crudum. Okay, there are a few more students who have joined. As a small recap, what did we discuss in the last class? We introduced Antim Crud and we mainly spoke of sphere of action, ailments from, and physical appearance. How do they look? Okay, and we also spoke of the characteristic symptoms. So ailments from we mainly saw two areas. One was J. See, very important in Antim Crud is J, gastrointestinal tract. And many of when the mind gets disturbed, GI is the organ that gets affected. Okay. Now I'll be talking to you about mental symptoms of Antim Crud, but you need to remember that any emotional disturbance, they'll have issues with gastric affections. So that's one thing, and then we also spoke of Antim Crud acting on skin, and where we saw that it mainly causes thickening. Okay. So we realize it's a very good remedy for cons, callosities, warts, any of these thickenings. Okay, and ailments from the plenty, as simple as river bathing. I gave you a word: pastries, bakery products, bread, biscuits, overeating, ailments from alcohol, getting overheated, river bathing, disappointment in love, good, grief, two emotional ailments. Okay, and under characteristic we had plenty. First thing was tongue, which was white coated, and then we also saw the desires, the aversions. Okay, and aversion was, there was a peculiar aversion. What was that? Aversion to bathing. Yeah, aversion to touch, aversion to bathing. Okay. So I'll just narrate a simple case, which luckily Dr. Venkatadri is also here. He had taken this case in the clinic. Okay. So this lady had approached us for rheumatoid arthritis. Okay. And what we saw in this case was, she would fall in love very easily. She would get attracted to opposite sex very easily. Okay. And for example, it could be any person, the physiotherapist, whoever, she would fall in love. And it was never physical. See, she wanted love and she would fall in love, and her expectation was never a physical relationship. She was always looking for an emotional love. Okay. So this case we had taken in detail and we had worked it up, and we have given antimonium crud. So we'll try to understand a little later what made me think of Antim Crud in a case of RA. Okay, it's a serious case, and we have prescribed antimonium crudum on a different basis. So we'll slowly explore. Post-lunch session, I just started with a case. Let there be that curiosity. What made my teacher to prescribe Antim Crud for a lady with rheumatoid arthritis? Okay, never heard of, but we'll slowly understand. And I told you it was a very recent case. Follow-up also we'll be getting after 3 months. So even we are very curious to know what the follow-up will be. Okay, we'll look at it, and for today's class, I'll be looking at antimonium crudum, or I'll be giving you antimonium crudum in two small parts. Okay. Now one part is the basic nature of Antim Crud. How an Antim Crud person will be. The basic nature. And the second very important part, especially all those Kent lovers, if you read Antim Crud from Kent's, you have a beautiful picture. Okay, and this picture is mainly related to the love. Okay. So we look at the basic Antim Crud first. What is the basic nature of antimonium crude? So what are all the basic traits of Antim Crud? Antim Crud. Basically they are very, okay, I mean, sentimental is something related to love. We'll take it in part 2. Okay. In the first part, what is it that we are looking at? Okay, the sluggish, good. We have a better word, I'll come to it. They are basically very lazy people. Okay. Indolent, lazy. Okay, good. They are lazy. Anything before laziness. Shweta was talking of a point that they have aversion to touch. Aversion to look at. Okay. One of the authors says they are very touchy people. The word touchy, we have used it in a better remedy. And that remedy, when I did it in UG, that remedy was Sina. Very good. Netra recalls it. It is Sina. Sina kids are also very touchy. Antimonium crude kids are also very touchy. They will not like to be looked at. They will not like to be touched. But what is the basic difference between Antim Crud and Sina? Antim Crud and Sina. Now, what is it that, it's a very practical situation. Tomorrow in your clinic, yesterday Venkatadri had taken another case of a child, 3.5 years old child. And see how toys also will help us in identifying the kind of, I know Netra was also there and she is giving a big smile. And there is a reason behind Netra's laugh. Netra got terrified when he removed the toy from his bag. Any wild guess other than Venkatadri, anybody who can guess what was the toy that the boy, 3.5 years old boy, removed from his bag and Netra took 2-3 steps back. And what was the toy? See, the toys what they play with also becomes very important. He had a snake toy. It was a snake, big snake, and he had it as a toy, and then that's what terrified Netra. Okay, so kids who have snakes as toys, any wild guess what could be the probable remedies? Can we think of Barretta? Then, can we think of pulsatilla? Can we think of stramonium? Meaning fearful remedies. So as such they will be having fear, so they will not have all these wild kind of creatures. Okay? So it could be more of medurinum, fine, more of anacardium, fine, more of belladonna, more of hyosamus. Hyosamus, we all know, is a great prankster. Must be this guy in his friend circle, he might take the snake and put it there and start shouting, snake, snake, snake. If he was Hyos, he is a very mischievous guy and he enjoys mischief. So what kind of toys a child plays with also becomes important for us. You're getting my point? I don't know why I told you this thing here, but what I want you to understand is antimonium crudum and Sina. See, what I was trying to tell you is, in your clinic tomorrow, you have an antimonium child, you have a Sina child, and both of them hate you looking into them. Right? Doesn't like to be looked at and doesn't like to be touched. When you want to examine, they will not like you taking a stethoscope or you checking their thermometer, they start crying, cranky. No, when Antim Crud, when Sina? Simple question, and I have already given you the answer. If the child is irritated, if the child is irritable, if the child is cranky, then it is Sina. Antim Crud is not that cranky. Fine? Antimonium crudum is not that cranky. Though he is angry, though he also weeps, but not to the extent of Sina. So crankiness, irritability will not be to the extent that you see in Sina. Though both are touchy. Fine? See, these are all practical things. And once you start practicing, you will have difficulties. When this, when that. Sometimes it is better you know very less. The more you know, the more confusion. But don't take this statement very seriously. You should know more. Okay, though it is a little confusing, you should also know how to get rid of the confusion. Let confusion be the cause for not knowing things. You should know things. So Sina is cranky, Antim Crud is not all that cranky. So touchy, fine, doesn't like to be touched, touch aversion to, doesn't like to be looked at. What happens when you touch them? They get irritated, they are angry, they start weeping. See, one more important thing you also have in Antim Crud is ticklish. Children who are ticklish. What do you understand by ticklish? The skin is very sensitive. Okay. Now, where will you get to know, or how will you identify this practically in your clinic? Recently we had a patient, again a small boy. I don't know if one of the assistants, you remember this case, very small boy, 5.5 years old boy. You know, he had pain abdomen, and when I was trying to examine, though he was in pain, uncle, you know, uncle. You know, I mean, he was not allowing me to touch. No, this is ticklish. Vinod was right. He was trying to tell when you are examining. See, this stethoscope on shirt, they will not have the feeling. Okay. For example, if they have some pain, if they have some discomfort, and you try to examine them, that's when they'll have issues. So ticklish. A better remedy? Cali. I mean, there are plenty. Old repertories give some 14 to 15. Cali. Don't forget Cali. And you can add many more. Cali is the top remedy for ticklish. Okay. So caressed aversion to, doesn't like touch, doesn't like to be caressed, they get irritated, they get angry, or they might start weeping. Okay? So this is the basic trait of antimonium crudum. This slide again will be dedicating for the basic traits. What you also see here is they are introverted, they are reserved, very close people. They are not an extrovert. Okay? For example, you have sulfur, then you have many of the drug remedies, they are all extroverted. And this boy whom I was trying to tell you, who had a snake in his bag, he was a very extroverted guy. Fine? He was very curious. He was playing with the torch, he was asking what is this, what is that. And you know, when he put torch light, the light was looking red. So he had this question, why is it looking red? 3.5 years old boy, smart boy. So he was trying to ask, why is it red? Then mother and grandfather, they were explaining, it is because of blood. Then he immediately told, blood is inside. I don't know, we were this smart when we were 3.5. He told, blood is inside. How can it be red? Fine? You're getting my point? See how his brain is so quick, so inquisitive, and is so smart. So here, please don't give Beretta. You're getting my point. See, you'll have to start ruling out. Even if Beretta is coming in your repertorization, don't waste your time. Don't waste patients' money, their time, giving wrong remedies. This is how you rule out. Okay? For example, in the end, he got his snake out, his toy. Even then, looking at that toy, I would have changed my prescription. If it was pulsatilla or if it was some milder remedies will not play with dangerous toys. Fine? The idea of having a snake as a toy itself is a difficult thought. But this child has that thought and has got that toy. So your remedies also should be something of that caliber. You're getting my point? So what I was trying to tell you is, they're very reserved, very closed, okay? And yeah, this is what Netra started with. They are very lazy people, indolent. You see this? Even is so lazy, is not even putting his, taking his hand to the plate, then to his mouth. Things are directly going into his mouth. Done? So lazy and very discontented. What do you understand by discontentment? Not satisfied. I mean, we have a very nice example, again yesterday from our OPD. I don't know, Venkat and who else? Yeah, I mean, there were a few in the OPD yesterday, and we had a beautiful case of varicose ulcer, huge varicose ulcer. After medicines, it is almost gone. 95% it is gone. small area is remaining, beautifully cured, but that gentleman is not at all happy. Right? See the constitution. If it was somebody else, then they would be praising you so much. I mean, they will be telling you, sir, thank you so much, it was so big. After your medication, it's become so small. But this gentleman, there was no ray of happiness over his face. Right? So discontented people. Okay? So when patients are talking something, you don't get offended. You try to understand, why is that patient talking like that? What is his symptom? Fine? So he is a discontented patient. Okay? So Antim Crud can be discontented and complaining. There are people who always keep complaining. Okay? So complaining, discontentment, and we saw this in the last class, aversion bathing. Okay? I told you in the last class, we have many remedies, aversion bathing, and to add few as a small revision, ammonium carb, I'll have to go with the lip movements, good, ammonium carb, sulfur, capsicum, okay, done, and of course you also have antimony crude, okay. So now we will come to the second part of Antim Crud, and we will try to spend some 15-20 minutes and we will try to understand this. Basically this piece of information taken from Kent's Materia Medica, and of course your repertories, few source books, okay. Now what do you see here, what do you understand from this image taken from Google? What do you see here? What do you see here? Must be many girls would want a guy like him. Somebody will surprise them. Good, accurate. It came, the word came very fast. Somebody who is trying to surprise them, and we don't know what is there behind the lady. If there's another boy, and we don't know. So what is important for you? I mean, people are very romantic. Right? We started with pig. We compared antimonium crudum to pig. Now we are talking of antimonium crudum being the most romantic guy of our Materia Medica. Okay? They're very sentimental. More than romantic, I would use the word sentimental. That is the cross-reference you have in your Materia Medica. You have in your repertory. Now, whom do you consider romantic, or whom do you consider sentimental? See, romantic and sentimental, they are two different words altogether. Okay? Fine. Now, romantic means, what do you understand by romantic?
Romantic, there won't be any negative emotions.
Okay, there will be no negative emotions. Okay, could be then. Romantic, meaning for example, many heroes, we call them romantic heroes. Okay, showing an act of affection in form of surprising the partner with small gifts, in form of taking them to a hotel, candlelight dinner. You have this concept, candlelight dinner, or you have all the opera going on, music going on, you take them and having dinner, having lunch, whatever, okay, or giving them some small gift, or taking them out, fine. Naturally every girl would like to have a man, a romantic man, fine. So Antim Crud is romantic, fine. More than romantic, they are sentimental people. Now what do you understand by sentimental? One of the top remedies in our Materia Medica. The other 3-mark remedies given in your repertory, they are ignitia and tuberculina. You have many remedies under the rubric sentimental. 3 marks, 3 remedies. Antim Crud, ignitia, tuberculina. Okay. Now what is it that you have? What do you understand by sentimental? What is sentimental? Huh? Okay, very good. Padmashri says attachment. Beautiful. Nice word.
You can get affected.
Huh? People?
Who get affected.
Okay, people who get affected easily. Good. Anything better? Sentimental. You have all done it.
Emotionally disconnected.
Okay, very good. emotionally getting connected very easily. Good, beautiful. Any other examples? You would have done this. Must be without knowing you are sentimental. Okay, meaning like many times we have patients, we have friends who retain their first gift wrapper. This was the first chocolate my girlfriend had given. Generally, boys give it to girls. It can be the other way also. So this is the first chocolate my boy gave it to me. So what is the girl doing? She is not retaining the chocolate. It is foolishness retaining the chocolate. So she will enjoy the chocolate. So what is it that she is retaining? She is retaining the wrapper. First chocolate. Okay. Similarly, you might be having examples like we have gone movie for the first time. So that movie ticket for her becomes very important. Okay. She will keep the movie ticket. Then first gift. Boy, girl giving first gift. Many times we have roses kept in the books. I don't know if you just go back to your school days. You have roses kept in the books. And why are you keeping this rose in the book? See, you are not buying a rose and keeping it in the book. That is also possible. They are not romantic people. They want to see what will happen to the rose. They are inquisitive people. Don't mistake. Fine? Or they are deprived. Nobody is giving nobody is giving it to me. Let me buy something and keep it. Peer pressure. Okay, but in Antim Crud, or in people who are sentimental, they try to retain what is given to them. First movie ticket, first bus ticket. First time we went together in a bus. See, after 5 years, luckily if they marry or whatever, so then the boy might be showing all these things. You remember this? Men are very practical people. What is this? No, this is the first time in, this year we went in bus. Our first movie, this is the ticket. Okay? So people who get emotionally attached. That is the reason they use the word sentimental. See, to be sentimental, please do understand, to be sentimental, you need to be emotional. Fine? For example, if you are very practical, there are so many men, not all girls will keep the first wrapper. First chocolate wrapper. They would have eaten the chocolate, put it where it has to be. They put it in the dustbin and then they move on. So to be sentimental, you need to be emotional. And Antim Crud is very emotional. That's what I'm trying to tell you. They're emotional. That is the base. They're very emotional, and emotions is what brings in sentiments. Okay, very sentimental. Fine. What is it she was trying to tell? That they get connected very emotionally. Fine. Okay. They get attached. Padma Shri was using the word attached. They get attached to things very fast. So, sentimental people, and then they tend to fall in love very easily. Okay. Antim Crud boy, Antim Crud girl. Okay. They have the tendency to fall in love very easily. Okay. There is a word beautifully mentioned in your repertory, and the only remedy must be the new repertories would have added few new remedies, but the only remedy you have there is Antimonium crudum. There is a rubric called Love Sick. First time I heard Vijaykrishna sir, taking this rubric. In a lady, again, she had a serious illness and she was into multiple relationships. Unfortunately, all men used her physical body, meaning they exploited her sexually. Okay? And whoever assistants, when sir asked this, what can be given, what can be done, all of them had a different view. Many said hyoscyamus, many said, picric acid. Many had different remedies in their mind. But one thing they all missed, and what sir asked is, why you were in relationship with so many men? Why? fluoric acid, picric acid, Hyos, Shameless, Varat, a lot of remedies came up. But Sir's thinking was entirely different. He directly asked the lady, why? You know, and then she said, Sir, in all the men I was looking for love. But unfortunately, men will be men. You getting my point? And they looked at different things in me. So her need was love, and she was sick of love. So Sir, first time, way back, he takes this rubric, love sick, and for her, it was a serious illness. For her, Sir gives antimony crudum. And the follow-up was, beyond our expectation. She beautifully improves. And that's the reason, keeping this case as an example, which I learned from Sir, when Dr. Venkatadri had taken the case of RA, if you go back to the case of RA, fine? So she, in her entire, she should be early 50s, she should be 52, 53. So in her case, when we started understanding the case, I asked her the same question. Though Venkatadri was, in favor of neutron, I said, many of you have got the picture of neutron, but I thought, keeping what I learned from my teacher, I thought, must be, when we asked her, she was also very clear. She said, Sir, I was not looking at anything beyond love. And love was what she was missing. Fine? So this is what we call it as love sick. Love, is an emotion. When this emotion becomes a sickness, meaning you are seeking love, fine? You are seeking love, and to the extent that you become love sick, that's when antimonium crudum comes into picture. So this lady with deformed joints, we have taken the risk of giving Antim Crud based on this beautiful learning, this beautiful rubric, love sick. And I will update you the follow-up, and though Netremur is also there. See, Netrums and Antims, how do you differentiate pertaining to this particular scenario? Both of them want love, both of them are emotional, both of them are senti, both of them are romantic. But how do you differentiate Netrum from Antim Crud? Luckily, to add to your confusion, both are reserved, both are close. Now, how do you differentiate? Okay, Netrum could be seeking from a particular person. What if that particular person is not given? They will keep quiet. Don't you think they will seek from somebody else?
Wrong person.
Okay, so you have a rubric, falls in love with wrong people. Falls in love with wrong people. Like again, Kent lovers, what Dr. Kent says, student falling in love with teachers. Falling in love with married people. A young girl falling in love with married people. Fine? Now, Netrums will be looking more of what they did not get. See, again in Netrum, it is not the physical thing. Again in Netrum, they would have had a very bad relationship with parents. So what Netrum is looking out there is looking out for a fatherly figure. That's why Netrums fall in love with wrong people, elderly people, because they did not get the love from the father, and they will be looking towards that particular love. Okay? Love from, falling in love with wrong people, married people, falling in love out of social context. Socially, they may not be equal. He might be low or she might be high, whatever. So socially out of context, Netremur might be falling in love. And Netremur will definitely have a very traumatic childhood, where they would have missed love. Done? Yes, Rakesh, you have something to add? Yeah, Signetia is more acute. Okay, same way. Absolutely right. Nothing against Ignitia. Ignitia also has this thing, this tendency. Fine? But it is Netrum which stands out. Simple. Ignitia, if it is an acute thing. Okay? Netrum is more of a chronic thing. And Ignitia has its own, its own speciality. It's a contradictory remedy, diligent remedy, chilly remedy. Netrum is non-diligent, Netrum is hot, Netrum has sun aggravation, Netrum is chronic of Ignitia. That's why many times we say elder sister of Ignitia. Okay, meaning I mean, if you look at the duration, it's a more of a chronic thing. Ignitia is more historical. Ignitia could be more impulsive, fine. But natrum is very serious. Natrum is very serious. Done? Okay, and generally they don't they don't cheat. When their relationship is very one-to-one and they believe in it. Okay, so hope I am clear. Love sick, love sick. Remember, somebody is wanting love. Okay, somebody is looking for love. Somebody is desperate. Fine. To the extent that the love goes into a kind of a sickness. Think of Antim Crud. Okay. See, I am again insisting it comes very close to natrum, but you should know the art of differentiating natrum from Antim Crud. Must be many times we would have given natrum unknowingly, but the patient would have not felt better because the patient would have required Antimony Crud. Okay, so they fall in love easily and we just saw that they are very sentimental. Now, what triggers the romance or what triggers this sentimental nature in Antim Crud is again very important. So, romantic or sentimental in moonlight. I mean, if you look at moon, moon is something that is depicted for love. Many of our movies, okay, many of our romantic movies, if you watch old Hindi movies, okay, many of the movies you will be seeing moon as a depiction for love, okay. So, sentimental and under moonlight, okay, and twilight, TWI, twilight. So what is this? Just before night, sunsets and just before night, that period, they can be very sentimental. Sentimental before menses, again Antim Crud. Sentimental in young people, okay? Sentimental in young people. Sentimental girls, which is the remedy? Cocculus, good. Sentimental girls is cocculus. Girls who are very sentimental. So this is sentimental in young people. Antim Crud, Antimony Crud. So romantic, sentimental. See, they go to the extent of fantasizing with the lovers. Antim Crud, okay. And they are the kind of people who enjoy watching romantic movies. Antim Crud. But let it not be the criteria. Anybody who watches romantic movies, we can't give them Antim Crud. But Antim Crud generally love watching romantic movies. See, each of us, we have our own taste. There are so many people who feel romantic movies are boring. They want fights, they want violence, they want thriller. There are different varieties. Fine? So, natrums, calcareas, and of course antimony crudums, they are the kind of people who enjoy carcinosin. They enjoy more of romantic movies. So, they are very serious, and unfortunately, if there is a breakup, okay, which is coming up next. Unfortunately, if there is a breakup, when there is a love failure, when they are disappointed in love, that's when you have a lot of things coming up. Each person who is disappointed in love has a different way of reacting. Now, how Antim Crud reacts is very, very important. Okay? So now, how Antim Crud reacts? Now, when they are disappointed, what exactly happens? What happens? Okay, before poems, before they start writing poems, or before they become poetic, I mean, they start becoming sulky. They start sulking. They start withdrawing. Okay? They start becoming more reserved. So what you see here is sulking, becoming more reserved, becoming more closed, more introverted, and slowly sadness sets in. They become more sad. Any other sad remedies you can quickly recall? If you look into the repertory, 625 remedies are mentioned under sadness. So you can take a wild guess and you can answer any remedy, and I'm sure it will fall into those 625 remedies. There are plenty of remedies, starting from A to Z. From Akonate till income, any remedy it is mentioned under sadness. But let's not make it so simple. Can you recall some sad remedies? Netrums, Ignatius, good. Aurum, calcareous, aurums, even zincum, stannum, lot of metals, phosphorus, lot of metals has sadness, okay? So sadness from disappointment in love. You have sub-rubric, sadness from disappointment in love. You have plenty of remedies. Aurum topping the list, aurum met, aurum mure, bell carcinosin, digitalis, hyos, ignitia, natrum mure and phosphoric acid. Okay? Now going ahead, you also see in Antim Crud, this state can take them to alcohol. Disappointment in love, where a person lands up becoming an alcoholic. One top remedy is Antim Crud. There are a lot of reasons what patients give, when they get into alcohol, when they become alcoholics. If you are lucky and if he is an antimonium crudum patient, he may tell you, sir, I had a bad failure, breakup, and then I landed up to be an alcoholic. Could be Antim Crud. See, there is this small movie example which is given whenever Antim Crud is told. Shah Rukh Khan and Jackie Shroff, Devdas. There was this movie, Devdas. Okay. Jackie Shroff role is more of this. I have not watched the movie, but I have heard people telling, kindly confirm this, but then he becomes an alcoholic, or one character, they go into alcoholism. Shah Rukh Khan could be, I don't know, you just confirm. One character going into alcoholism, and they also talk in verses. Okay, so that is Antim Crud. Fine. So talking in verses, they become romantic, fine, and they start writing romantic poems. Okay, Antim Crud. Who are the other constitutions who can go into writing verses? Very good, China. Good. Cannabis, beautiful. Ophidius, Lycopodium, good. Tarantula, I am not very sure, could be, I am not sure. I have a list. And what do you think, you said China, what do you think China will do? Brahmaramba was talking of China, good, very good, it's there. See, you slowly should start understanding each remedy, when you see under a rubric, a set of remedies, what could be the kind of poems they are going to compose. Okay? For example, China. You also have Coffea. China and Coffea, they write poems more related to nature. Okay? No. China and carbons, they do something different. We'll come to carbons a little later. China, Coffea, more of poems based on nature. Okay? And you said something? Lycopodium. Lycopodium, sulfur. They mainly copy poems from others, cut and paste. They would have taken it from internet. Okay? 4 lines from one author, 4 more lines from another author, 4 more lines, and just cut and paste, and he will be presenting very confidently as if it is his. Okay. We would hear sir telling sulfur. The knowledge of sulfur is pseudo, meaning it's all false. Many things he would have taken from others and he will project as if it belongs to him. So, pseudo-philosopher or pseudo-intellect is more of sulfur. Okay. Sulfur, Lyco, we spoke of coffee, we spoke of China. Padmashri was talking of cannabis. Now what is cannabis? Cannabis is a drug remedy. They have a lot of energy. So what kind of poems do you think a cannabis person will be writing? Cannabis person will be writing more of imaginary things. Fine? Fancies. What is not a reality? It is not a reality. More of fanciful poems. The content is more of fanciful. So that is cannabis. That is cannabis. Fine? And going ahead, you also have Agaricus. Agaricus poems will be more of revolutionary. Okay, for example, if you are just sitting quiet and if the Agaricus person starts telling his poems, no, you feel energy flowing inside and you feel like doing something. So more of revolutionary, more of patriotic, more of revolutionary, more of patriotic poems is what you see in Agaricus. Okay. We also have. Somebody was using. Vinod was talking of Ophidias. He used a general word Ophidias. See, Ophidia. If you just go back from the knowledge that we have about Ophidias, Ophidias can talk about anything. Right? So we had one of our friend from Tamil Nadu. I don't Dr. Prabhakar, if I am right. Okay, nice gentleman. He had contributed a lot to homeopathy. Unfortunately, we lost him during COVID. So this great man, this gentleman, in one of his lectures, he says, Lacasis is a versatile poet. Who is a versatile person? He can talk on many things. He can talk on anything. He can write poems on nature. He can write imaginary poems. He can write patriotic poems. He can write anything. There is nothing very specific in Lacasis. So Dr. Prabhakaran in his, he had a audio recording where he talks of Lacasis being a versatile poet. And then we also have Steffi Sagria. See, to understand this, you should know what could be the content of the poems. If you know what the content of the poems, then it will become easy for us to cut and paste. Okay. A poet who talks more of sexuality in his poems. When the content is more of sexuality, when the content is more on sex, he could be Steffi Sagria. Okay. Staff, natrum and ammoniums. There will be a lot of sadness in their poems. Again, natrum constitution, ammonium constitution. Okay. So there will be a lot of grief. They have gone through so much. Okay. And then you see them, see the same getting reflected in their poems. So that is natrums and that is ammoniums. Okay. Yeah, and Padmashri was talking of carbons. And luckily you have one carbo wedge mentioned under versus mix. Any wild guess? Simple, don't complicate. Keep it simple. Carbons. Good. Carbons are known to be sarcastic people. Carbons are very timid, but they're sarcastic. So poems where you see sarcasm. Poems where you see sarcasm. My teacher, my sir, had given one of the carbons to one of the great cartoonists. He had an opportunity to treat one of the famous, I will not take his name, one of the famous cartoonists. And his cartoons would always have sarcasm. Okay, his cartoons would always have sarcasm. See, sir, looking at that, he said, yeah, he's a carbon. Because the content of his writing, whatever, is more of sarcasm. So he prescribes one carbon. I don't remember which carbon, but one carbon. and that gentleman beautifully improves. So carbons are known to be sarcastic. So the content of the poem will also have sarcasm in that. So that is carbo-veg. Okay? See, this is how, as a PG scholar, you should start looking at a rubric. Otherwise, versus makes will be very confusing. So when somebody says, sir, I write poems, just make sure, ask him, since when he is writing? Sir, after my girlfriend left. Oh, good, after she left. So what is the content? What are you writing? See, please narrate, show me one or two, fine. And then you can come to some conclusion. Okay? So, sadness, fine. Okay? Versus makes loathing of life. This is what I wanted. Loathing of life. Antim Crud, 3 marks. Loathing of life. Loathing of life from disappointment in love. And the last slide we have here is the conclusion. I mean, when I say conclusion, it is conclusion, real conclusion here. They have suicidal thoughts. They have suicidal thoughts. Okay? Now again, I have been trying to tell you time and again, each homeopathic constitution mentioned under suicidal, they have their own way, their own reasons why they commit suicide. Okay? So antimonium crudum, from disappointment in love, they have the suicidal thoughts. Suicidal thoughts more at night. And suicide mainly by drowning and shooting. Drowning and shooting. Okay? So suicidal mainly by drowning, and suicidal disposition mainly by shooting. Mainly by shooting. Okay? And few remedies which has suicidal disposition from disappointment in love. You have arum, you have bell, you have causticum, you have hyosamus, and you have staphylos aureus. These few remedies are capable of attempting or giving away life because of the series you saw there, sadness. It's all the pathology which slowly builds in. Disappointment in love going into sadness, slowly they go into suicidal thoughts. Okay? So this is the mind of Antim Crud. So what we spoke, to conclude, we just saw, I mean I'm on time and hopefully we'll be completing or looking at the key areas in next 2 minutes. I just told you about the basic trait, wherein what we saw was that they have slowness, they are discontented, they are lazy people, touchy, they have aversion to touch, aversion to be looked at, they become irritated, they become angry, they start weeping, okay, they are lazy, done, and aversion bathing. These were all the basic things. Then we looked at a very important part of Antim Crud, and that was the love, things related to love. They are romantic, they can be sentimental. When they are sentimental, and very good moonlight, twilight, okay, before menses, and one more thing we saw, in young people. And they are very serious, they fantasize about love, and unfortunately for some reason, if there is a breakup, then what happens in Antim Crud? They go into isolation, they go into a closed mode, they become reserved, they sulk, okay, they become morose, and then you also see them going into sadness, alcoholism, versus makes, loathing of life, suicidal. Suicidal by shooting or drowning. See, this is how the sequence is, and beautifully written in Kent. Okay, and even Professor George Withauker's book on Materia Medica Viva, a nice Materia Medica. I mean, there again, the author has nicely put it, in Antim Crud. So these books is what I referred, and waiting for the RA results. Hopefully, after 3 months, we'll see what the results are. Okay. Anything you would like to add from your experience? Anything, from wherever, from whichever source you have read, anything you would like to add, or if there's nothing to add, any quick questions, any clarification? Hope it's clear. Chalo, thank you, thanks.